Okay guys, William here. Purpose of this video, I just want to go through the group class stages in real time. Obviously this is very self-explanatory, but what I'm doing is giving a little more detail into where I got these rules from, why they exist, so on and so forth. So remember, to start it off, basically you got two situations. You got either boot camp and CrossFit, in which you're doing one Metcon, right? So one Metcon, this is the protocol. Or you have a boot camp and a CrossFit class that has two Metcons, or more commonly a strength and a Metcon. So example, back squat 5 sets of 5 is my strength, and then my Metcon is Cindy. You know what I mean? That's usually how that works. And I'm going to go through the stages that, you know, an onboarding coach or an intern would need to know to make all of this work. So again, this is just the basic checklist. So I'm just going to start with step 0. Coaches knowing the movements, setting up everything. All those pieces need to be done before your shift. Obviously, you want to set up a, you're going to dinner. You want to set up a plate to serve dinner. And with that being said, that's a whole different document. That's the north and south open and closing procedure. Turn the lights on, unlock the door, make sure you got a Savoy Fitness shirt on. Put the gear up. Setting up the iPad so people can sign in. It has some other tidbits in here. I won't go into it. So basically, you want to make sure that you're here early. That step it's like a non-step of the hour, but it's very important. You don't want to get there late and set a bad precedence. So make sure you're there 25 minutes early. And then the biggest part is 10 minutes before the class. So class starts at 5:30 for my example. Make sure that you are on the floor, just building some rapport with clients, talking to them, how was your day, how was this, how's your garden. So 10 minutes before, class starts at 5:30. And then big point, if it's a big group, a long question of the day, or you have very long Metcons, start the question of the day early. Be cognizant of your time, which kind of goes back to the first point. Just make sure you know what you're doing. Number 2, question of the day announcements and quick class overview over everything that's going on. This needs to be done in under 5 minutes, and the group needs to be huddled in a circle on the floor. Notice I said class overview and not WOD brief. Real quick, I want to dig into this more in depth. This is a boot camp Metcon from the other day. So let's say, for example, I did question of the day, I did announcements, and then what I'm seeing some of the coaches do is going into this in detail. Okay, guys, today for boot camp class, you got 5 stations, rest between. Station 1, it's not for quality, but you got deficit deadlift, shoulder press, da-da-da. So all that's some bullshit. That's not necessarily how that needs to work. Basically, you're going to give a class overview. A better option would be question of the day, announcements, and then you would basically say, okay, guys, you have 4 stations today. We have 5-minute AMRAPs each station. And then with that, we got total body movements in here, some wall balls, some toe taps, some box dips. But we'll talk about that later. Go ahead and grab your equipment. Grab a band for monster walks and hop into 2 lines. We'll talk about this later, but I kind of want you to know what we're getting into. That's a better example because by the time you do your dynamic warm-up and your movement prep, no one's going to remember what the hell you said. You just burnt off 3 minutes and you made, this, you're supposed to be done by 5:35. You turn that from a 5 into a 15-minute situation, and it's irrelevant. So I'm a big person on not going into super depth. Notice I said overview and not WOD brief. The WOD brief is later, but just a quick overview of getting this done. Keep it simple. No one's going to remember what you're doing, especially with the boot camp class. Dynamic warm-up, movement prep, 10 to 12 minutes max. And obviously that's a whole different document, but 10 to 12 minutes max with that. Guys, make sure, we'll put a note here. You're always doing, if you got an upper body push, you're always doing a side line rotation. You're always doing a scorpion or a lateral chest opener. There shouldn't be a class that you don't do one of those 3 movements because those are one of the few movements that really open up the shoulder. Or I'll say thread the needle. Thread the needle. Thread the needle. Make sure you're doing one of those in every class because that really activates the shoulder. So again, you got 10 to 12 minutes there. Next, group gathers all equipment, reverse engineer, transition rounds. Quick note I'll make on this. If you have stations make sure you tell the group to gather, 5 of each piece of equipment, right? Not everybody needs a wall ball if I got a group of 20, especially if I'm doing this. For example, if we're doing box dips, you don't all need a box. So make sure you tell them to grab groups of 5. And then I'll even make another note that says, have one of each station laid out so the group can add 4 more, right? So if I have my layout kind of ready, right, I have a rope out, I have a box out, I have a dumbbell out, and you have them laid out how you want to, you can just tell the group to grab 4 more and they'll know where it goes because it's already in the right place. So FYI there, that will save you a lot of time as well. You got your WOD brief. WOD brief is going to be the in-depth version of this. Do you have any questions? And again, with that, guys, I'm looking at WOD strategy stages, duration, challenge, demonstration, scaling options, logistics, questions. It's on the board at each gym. You should be able to look at that and go through those pieces. I'm not going to go through that. That's a whole separate video. Remember, turn the music up. It is extremely annoying me as a personal athlete when I got to start a Metcon and the music's not up. I need the music to get me hyped. But notice what it says. Let it play for 20 seconds. Let the group get hyped and then make it work. Time may be tight eventually, and you might not have 20 seconds to wait, but really make sure that the music is up before you start the clock. I want to make a situation where, again, everybody's hyped and ready to roll. Number 7, be a coach. Obviously, that's the coaching competency form. That's a whole different document. A couple points on here that I'm big on is shows effort and motivates clients. That's Rowe does that well. Displays confidence and professionalism. Clearly answers question. I'm really big on this. Speak the fuck up. Voice projection and clarity is a big one. These are all the pieces that you need to know to be a good coach. I'm pretty sure there's some that are not on there that you guys demonstrate well. Be a coach. Basically, guys, in this set of one Metcon, your Metcon is going to be about 25 minutes, could be longer, 25 minutes or less. So basically, just be a coach. Goes to 625, and then you got your boot camp only. The boot camp only Tabata mash. Let's make sure that Tabata mash goes in. The reason why I really like the Tabata mash is because it's usually an ab-based exercise. And after getting my ass kicked metabolically, it looks a lot different to the clients when they're actually burning their abs to death. It's a good finisher. It builds camaraderie. I need that mandatory. So make sure you get that done. And again, that goes back to good time allocation. So again, these are the steps that are needed. And this is an exaggerated example, but main point is one of the main points I dig into with this. Make sure you save yourself some time by doing an overview instead of a WOD brief. Number 5, make sure you actually do a WOD brief and you're following these points. I've been to a couple different classes and coaches are not doing a WOD brief. It's not in depth as it should be. Make sure they have enough time to go to the bathroom, change their shoes. Don't be in such a rush. It shouldn't be reverse engineering, transition round, okay, we're starting in 2 seconds. No, go to the board. Let the new people that don't understand what's going on, give them time to ask questions. You got 5 minutes for this. Coaches, build this in. It is mandatory. Now, these are all the points, again, for a 1 Metcon set. 2 Metcon set, it's just a little bit different. Ideally, it would be, back squat. You got your type of back squat situation, and then you got like a Metcon after. Everything's the same, but it kind of changes right here with the warm-up. So your warm-up is shorter. It's 6 to 8 minutes instead of, obviously, 10 to 12 minutes, right? And again, that's based on the time. I'm just giving you a rough estimate. Make sure that the monostructural movement is in the movement prep. If you're doing bike, rower, or jump rope, that needs to actually be in the warm-up. So that way you don't have to go back and reverse engineer it. It takes too long. Gather equipment, WOD brief, turn the music up, be a coach. WOD brief is shorter, guys, because remember, I got 2 Metcons or strength in a Metcon. Then, this one is very important. You're going to coach. Say you got about 15 minutes to establish 5x5 back squat. 15 minutes to get that done. Within that 15 minutes, people are going to get done early. They're going to go ahead and put their shit up, which is cool. So once group is done, they will put equipment up and then have group gather gather new equipment for Metcon 2 if it's needed. 3 minutes on this one. Make sure you do your reverse engineering and transition rounds. There should not be a Metcon or a primary strength where you're not doing that. Again, this is your barbell movement, so know your barbell breakdown. That's a whole nother document I won't get into. Barbell breakdown, quick WOD brief, and then you'll hop into it. So guys, these are all the pieces that you got to know to coach. It's actually a typo right here. Okay, so look at this. If you have any corrections, let me know. But again, this is taboo. I know there's going to be some situations where this doesn't align ideally. But again, just to reiterate for the last time, every class should have reverse engineering and transition rounds, except the boot camp to a degree, especially if it's a long movement. But the boot camp will at least have the reverse engineering. The boot camp will have reverse engineering, but probably not any transition rounds, depending on how you're doing it. Make sure that this overview is just an overview. It is not a WOD brief. Don't waste your time. WOD brief needs to be in depth. And then note this clearly. You're going to the board. If you got 2 Metcons, you're going to the board at 2 separate times. You're going to the board at 2 separate times. Other than that, I'm looking for any edits that coaches have. Thank you.